Hello everyone, welcome to Next Gen AI with Sai YouTube channel. Today we are going to see about AI agent, but this video uh, you can say a beginner guide who completely don't know about AI agent or who wanted to level up their knowledge around AI agent. So let me just take you through what points we are going to learn in today's session. So this might be a bit lengthy video. So I'll break it down into the two parts. The one part is a theoretical plus a practical guide, and the second part we are going to see a many use case that we can implement with the help of AI agents. So, what points we are going to cover? Let me explain a bit so that you will come to know. You'll get some bit understanding. So these are the main pointers. First, we will try to understand what is AI agent. Uh, I believe many of us aware about that what is AI agent, but if someone not, then we will touch upon the exact definition of AI agent. Then we will try to understand what is the difference between the LLM versus agent versus RAG. And I think this is one of the most uh, crucial understanding that everyone tries to struggle. So if someone aware about the LLM or RAG, then they try to understand how this LLM and RAG is different than agent. The third pointers we are going to look, that is building block of AI agents. So when I say AI agent, what it is comprises of, that is something that we are going to focus in this. Then there are different design patterns of AI agent. So basically, when you uh, build a AI agents, then how one can have the different design pattern must take into considerations that we will touch upon. Then the next point, agentic system, that we will go, and then something that is AI agent project. So this part maybe we will cover in the second part of this video because it comprises of lot of many I can say a small project. Even I can say this AI agent project may be bifurcated into multiple videos because I do not want to cover many hands-on project in one things. But I'll cover this, at least this theoretical part and bit a practical part in one video so that you will get to know the some more understanding about the AI agent. Okay, so great. I hope you understood what will be the things we are going to cover and what you will get benefited from this video, okay, from this lecture. So before we start, okay, I'll request everyone, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'll request please subscribe. So this will give a bit motivation and also get an understanding that how much you like my content and my explanation. Okay, so please let's kick start it. Okay, so the question start, what is AI agent, right? So I'll start with some example so that then we will go into the theoretical definition. So let's imagine that you want to generate a report, right? You want to generate a report, okay, of something. That report maybe, for example, let's take a latest train in AI. Okay, this report you want to generate, okay, and you know that if you want to generate this kind of report, many of us have used the chat gpt for this, right? uh, Many researcher use the chat gpt for this. So let's say this is my task that I want to generate the uh, AI train. So what steps I generally follow with the chat gpt? First, I will ask the chat gpt, uh, can you do some, you know, search about the AI research paper? Okay, uh, can you help me with the some research in the AI? Right, I'll ask this. Then chat gpt gives some output to me. Then what I'll do, I'll review that output. Correct, I'll review that output. Then after the output, I will try to check what are the list of papers ChatGPT suggested me. Okay. Then I found that out of this paper, I'll again some questions to ChatGPT. Okay. Again, ChatGPT gives some output to me. Again, I'll review. Again, I'll say update. So this process goes again and again and again. I'll call this is a something called as an iterative process, right? This is what, this is a iterative process. As it is a iterative process, definitely I can say that this is a moment. As it is a iterative process, so I can say that this is a something like a time taken process, right? It's a time taken process. Definitely lot of efforts you need to invest, right? What efforts? The efforts in a decision making efforts, right? Whether the output that ChatGPT gives, it's aligned with my research or not, whether the paper that ChatGPT suggested or a summary it suggested is aligned with the trend or not, right? So you are going lot of things iteratively. Now, if same thing I want a AI agent has to do, how it will do, right? Because if I want handle this process by AI agent, then you will go with the couple of stuff, right? So you bifurcate this process into the AI agent, and you first go with the something called as the research agent, right? So you forget, so building block of this thing, you come up with some multiple agent, and that namely agent you call that as a something called as research agent, because that is the something a main important part, right? Then you will go something called as a filtering agent, right? Then something you go with the something called summarizing agent, right? Okay. Then something called as the, I'll go the end, something called as the formatting agent, right? So the same task, but I bifurcated the the whole task into multiple agent. Why I require this multiple agent? Because the kind of task I am doing here, right, is nothing but the bifurcation of this agent, because this agent is a capable of doing their own task. Okay, so let's start with the something called as a first I said, that is a researcher agent. So what researcher agent does, let me take the snip so that it is easy to explain. Okay, so now if you can see, the research agent is a something that autonomously searches and retrieve the relevant AI research paper from these are the resources, right? So we have ARXIV, Google Scholar, Semantic Scholar, right? So this is the one of the specific task of AI agent to retrieve. This is what something we did manually earlier. Then when it comes to the filtering agent, what it does, it now it has some research paper from this website. It will filter out the relevant paper which is related to the specific my requirement, that is AI, trends, right? Now, once the filtering agent works, gives me the relevant paper, my job is to now go to the third agent, that is a summarizing agent. So output of this, okay, so output of my this relevant paper goes to the third agent, that is summarizing agent. What is the job of that? It gives me insight from this relevant paper, right? Now once I got the insight, I want these insights go to the formatting agent, whose job is to give me the summary of my insight, right? So whole process, that what I have done, right, earlier through my uh, individually. So here I'm user, so all these are steps I'm doing here manually, right? But if I have the set of specialized agent, I think this process works smoothly rather than a person doing individually. So generally, as you know, the definition of anything like an agent, what agent does, agent simplifies or make things easy for us. If I compare this thing with the real world things, we have many agents, property agent, insurance agent, right? Many driving license agents. There are many agents we know in our daily life. What that agent does, it simplifies the process for us. Can't we do that on our own? Yes, we can do that on our own. But that requires, as I mentioned earlier here, that requires lot of efforts and lot of time taken. So to save these two parameter, right, time and the effort, we go into the something called as a agent. And when these agents, right, as I mentioned, when these agents back up by some of a capability, what I'm trying to say, the AI capability, then that agent called as a AI agent, right? So what AI agent means, the AI agent is nothing but the which backup by the LLM with some tools and some memory. When these three components come, then we call this as a AI agent, right? Why it is called AI? Because it can take the decision intelligently with the help of LLM. Because we know that LLM is having a capability to do some decision for us, to do some kind of reasoning, right? So I can say AI agents are autonomous system that can reason, that can think, that can plan, right? To figure out some important things, then it is called as the AI agent, right? Now, these AI agents definitely require some tools because there are some limitations that LLM can't do. For example, search, right? Right? Or to call some API. So we require some tools to do this. Again, LLM has some limitations of memory because it may only aware of some information with when it comes to memory, but once it go out of that, we require external memory which keep track of our context. That will come to see in a moment. But I hope you understand what is AI agent. So if I want to summarize what is AI agent which uh, uh, which are not only execute the process, one process, but it execute end-to-end process with the help of the LLM memory and agents. And this is what a definition that generally I can say a theoretical kind of. So what is agent? It's a, you can say, a kind of software system that uses the artificial intelligence to autonomously pursue the goals by reasoning, planning, and acting to complete the task on behalf of user, right? So this definition you can remember, but I think the best example to relate this AI agent is this research agent, right? So this way you can understand how the AI agent works, right? Now let's try to understand the second topic that we are going to discuss, That is, what is the difference between agent versus LLM versus RAG. That is the most important topic that we are going to learn. So what is LLM? Okay, so LLM is a brain. Can relate. LLM is a brain. RAG is something, a feeding a brain with some information, right? So see, a brain has some limited scope of do the task, but if are human, or if I explain in very simple term, let's say there is a person, okay, who knows to do some task X, but now the person asks to do some task Y, right? But if he don't know how to perform this task Y, will he able to do it? No, right? So he requires some information, right, to perform some task. Okay, so this RAG is nothing but this information. And when it comes to the agent, agent is nothing but a decision maker. Okay, so when I say decision maker, it means that can plan and act using what? Using brain, using brain and tool. So again, I repeat, what is the difference between LLM, agent and RAG? So just to summarize, LLM is nothing but the brain. Okay, RAG is nothing but the information provided to that brain, and agent is nothing but the decision maker that can plan and act with the help of brain and tools. So when I say brain, don't forget it's a LLM, not your human brain. Okay, and tools are nothing but the supporting functions that require agent to perform the task. Okay, for example, if I want to, let's say, do something, what can I say, addition, right? So the plus addition of two numbers, right? So I can know the two, but to perform the addition I have to add this number two times, right? So to require these tools to perform this stuff, right? The tools is the things that agent can do the task with the help of that tool. Let's deep dive into something more into the LLM so that uh, we understand things more deeply, right? Now LLM, like a, let's say a LLM is like, for example, if I take one example of LLM, that is a GPT-4, right? Everyone know it's one of the GPT, is trained on some massive data. Okay, so this data is huge. Okay, now what happened that this LLM can only give an answer on specific things, the things that GPT knows, right? But it can't access the things like web or API, right, or a new data, because it is trained on some limited data. So for that we require a RAG, so that this RAG will provide the information that which GPT-4 don't know, right? Now as LLM has, as this LLM has both the the the, the data which on his train and the latest, then this we call as something called as a assistant, right? So it can give answer on this, the data which latest and the things that he aware. But the agent which is doing some autonomous, so it think and act. So based on that it will decide, right, what steps to take. Okay, so if, when you ask any question to the agent, it will check whether should I use LLM or whether should I use tools. So okay, so that helps the agent to perform, and how it makes the decision with the help of LLM. Now I hope you understand the difference between the agent, LLM, and the RAG. Now we are going to look at the third important topic that we are going to see, that is uh, building block of AI agent. AI agent. So as I mentioned, AI agents are designed to reason, plan, and take action autonomously. However, to make them effectively, there are few things that we need to keep in mind. So majorly there are six building blocks on which this AI agent can do things reliable, right? So the first building block of this AI agent is role playing. Don't worry, let me just note down, or okay, let me explain one by one. So there are six, but we'll go one by one so that I can explain then and there only. So one of the very important thing that is that role playing, that what exactly that agent does, right? So agent is a big thing, right? But within that agent, what is the role of that, whether it's a senior developer, right, or whether it's a content writer, or whether it's a research analyst, right? So it is very important to clearly specify what the role of that AI agent, because when you mention the role of AI agent explicitly, it will boost the performance, right? It will boost the performance of that AI agent. Now why it is important to specify the role, because it will shape the agent's reasoning and retrieval process. Please note this point. It will shape the reasoning and the retrieval process. This is very much important so that agent can think accordingly. Okay, and their output is very sharp. Okay, their output is a very sharp and more relevant. More relevant. This is very important. Second important building block of AI agent is focus or task. Okay, so let me write down here, focus or task, right? Now let's say I have my agent, use different marker here. I have my agent. I mentioned there are different type of agent I have, as I mentioned earlier, senior developer, content writer, research analyst. But what is the task of my senior developer? What is their objective of my senior developer? Is he or is she going to write a code, or is she going to only focus on deployment part? What exactly it is going to do? What task it is of that is very important to specify. Second, the content writer. Okay, similarly, everywhere I have to mention a task. I have to mention their focus, right? So otherwise, if we are not mentioning what is the objective of my that specific agent, when I say objective, this is the interchangeable term I'm using, I mean task. Now you have specified the role, but what task that agent is going to do, which is very important to mention, right? So for example, I have one agent called as a marketing agent, right? Then my marketing agent, okay, if when I say marketing agent, then my marketing task, what is my marketing task? Messaging, right? Then tone, what tones we are going to use, okay? Then what kind of, audience is going to interact. Okay, so different tasks I have to mention in my marketing agent. So instead of trying everything, as I mentioned earlier, it is better approach to narrow down the focus. Please remember, narrow down focus. This is the second building block of my agent. The third one of the again, that everyone knows that the third building block of agent is tools. Okay, that I'm mentioning since the beginning. But always remember, agent is a smarter. A second, let me use another color. Agent is a smarter when they use the right tool. Okay, and remember, more tools, it doesn't mean the good result. More tool is, I can say, is not equal to the better result. Okay, the less tool you have with the agent, or the right tool you have with the agent, the better result you will get. So for example, let's say I have used the research analyst. Okay, so as my research analyst is a role, okay, what the my research analyst task is to do the web search and analysis. This is the task. So to comprise or to complement his work, we should give a tool that is called as a web search tool, right? There may be a SERP API or Google API, whatever API, right? So this web search tool I have to give, because his main job is a analysis, right? Or to search the sum. If I'm not giving this capability to my research analyst, my research analyst will not give the better result, right? Again, as I mentioned, research analyst, so again it is very important to have one principle in my mind, that always give the required tool only. Don't go with the multiple tool, otherwise the result will not be good. Okay, so avoid, one thumb rule, avoid unnecessary tools. Okay, for example, speech to text. My research analyst doesn't require a speech to text tool, right? Okay, so avoid any unnecessary tools. This is very important. Then there might be a something called as these are the tools. Within a tools, there are sub part I can mention, that is a custom tool. Sometimes some things are not available in the market, so we have to go with the some custom tools, right? So you have to write, when I say custom tools, it means those tools that you need to write from the scratch. Okay, so these tools allow. So while LLM power agents are great for reasoning and generating response, but they lack some experience, right? So for that you require to write, some custom tools, right? So as you know, there are many tools freeware supports. For example, read file read tools, writer tool, code interpreter tool, website scraper tool. Many tools are available, right? But so why these tools are important? Because these tools help us to do things better, right? For example, when you do natural language to SQL, right? Convert natural language to SQL, or a PDF search tools, right? You can use the LLM, but instead of LLM making some guess, you can use this custom tool that fetches the some information from API and provides some insight. Okay, so many times you need to write this custom tool for your things. Okay, so it will, custom tool helps to lower the dependency on LLM. Okay, for example, one very nice example I can give is a calculator, right? Now let's say you are doing some calculation. For that, LLM can also do a calculation based on their capability, right? But rather than depending on LLM, you can use a calculator tool, right? You can do a custom tool and give these tools to the LLM. So you are decreasing your dependency on LLM and getting the good results. So this is one thing that I want to mention here. Uh, Again, there are multiple way you can use the custom tool. Nowadays, one thing is very popular, that you can use custom tool via MCP, right? So MCP is a model context protocol. I have already created a very nice video on MCP. I would suggest please watch